best. Just some few housekeeping rule. Ensure that you play all in. Avoid every form of distraction. Suspend social media for now. After now, you can go back. Your phone and any other thing that will distract you. Please focus on what we are doing now. Your transformation begins right now as we share some few thoughts together on the subject from consumer to creators, empowering learners for the innovation economy. From consumer to creators, empowering learners for the creator economy. Now, every pressure once a student classroom is therefore being quietly written, not in any other place, but every day, silently, quietly in our various schools. Education is very important. It's a powerful tool that can transform a nation. And that transformation begins from the school, begins from education. Now, here is the big question that we need to ask ourselves. Are we preparing learners for the world that existed yesterday or for the world they will eventually inherit tomorrow? That's an important question. And that, gives credence to why we are all here. Two students can attend different school, the same curriculum, the same duration, maybe 5 years or 6 years, but two different results. What's the difference? The difference is this. One was educated to consume knowledge, and the other was educated to create value. And that difference will increasingly define educational success in the 21st century. As I speak to you now, there is a great shift, but many people are not aware of the shift. Even some people that are aware of the shift, they are not equipped to grapple and then leverage on the opportunity that comes with the shift. I want to say this, just to as a footnote. Many of us who are in the education sector do not have the right mindset towards what we are doing, and that is not helping us. Many of us see ourselves as being in an industry that is not lucrative. Please, that is a fallacy. And I want to tell you, the education industry is the biggest, is the most viable that we can ever think about. I am not telling you to titillate you or to create some emotion or sentiment. I am telling you because of my personal practical experience. If you are a teacher, you are a lecturer, you are a proprietor, you are a principal, I can assure you, you are in the best industry right now. Education is the best industry you can ever, belong to. But the challenge is, many of us in the education industry, we don't have the right mindset. That's number one. And then number two, we are not given to innovation. We are reverted to doing things as it was, so it is, and so shall it ever be. But I hope that the few moments I'm going to have with us this evening is going to create a shift in our thinking, because the biggest problem of many of us is our philosophy, the way we think, our belief system, our concept, our ideology. And one of the purpose of this presentation is to help us appreciate the shift that is going on, see the gap that is existing, and then see how we can leverage on that gap and to stand out in the industry. So there is massive shift that is going on. For over centuries, our schooling system was designed to, train people for the industrial economy. But the world has changed. We now have what is called the innovation economy, where ideas are the levers that are making things to happen. Creativity is what is driving competitiveness. And if we do not understand this, then we are going to struggle. Knowledge is no longer scarce because knowledge is everywhere. Innovation is the in thing. Educational, the thing we should be asking ourselves is not just the availability of knowledge, availability of information, but what value can our student create from the information that we have given to the educational system are being forced to rethink their and that is what every administrator, whatever you are a play in the educational industry, that's what is confronting every one of us today. Because transformation only occurs when we redesign the way we learn. The job of the future are changing faster than education. I wish I have time to analyze this one. There is a dramatic change that is going on in the marketplace, but in the educational sector, that's what is between development in the marketplace is happening in this day to see what we can do to create that necessary pace and then match up with the speed so that at the end of the day, we are producing students that have relevant knowledge, relevant skills, and competence to match their peers anywhere in the world. The second reality is that AI is redefining knowledge, and then employers are increasingly looking for people with capability and not just people with credential. And so we are going to see this unveil itself as we move ahead. Now, this particular economy, the innovation economy. Please, if you are getting something from the presentation, can I get some emoji? Can I get some feedback in the chat? I want to see some emoji. So let me know that we are all on the same page. Not that, let me know I'm communicating. Yes.
Yes, we're on. We're getting something.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate you. Now, understanding the innovation economy. Man has gone through the hunting economy, agricultural economy, industrial economy, recently the information economy, and as I speak now, we are in the innovation economy. The innovation economy is an economic system in which sustainable growth is driven primarily by creativity, innovation, research, entrepreneurship. These are the prime mover in this innovation economy that all of us have found ourselves today. We are no more in the industrial age. We are no more in the information age. We have migrated as I speak. We are right now in the innovation economy. So our educational system must be that are able to have creativity and innovation, because those are the prime mover in the innovation economy. The new currency in the 21st century is idea, how we can transform idea into solution, into impact. And so individuals that will thrive in this century are people that can identify emerging problem, people that can ask insightful questions, people that can collaborate across disciplines, people that can design innovative solutions, use technology in a responsible manner, Now, what does all this mean for our school today? Our school must be reconfigured to become an environment where learners ask meaningful questions. The learners, they are the students that we teach. We must engineer them to ask meaningful questions. And whenever I'm talking to teachers, I used to tell them this, that every student is a system waiting to be engineered. Every student is a system waiting to be engineered. And teachers are in a vantage position to instigate that engineering in those students. So we need to investigate authentic problem, design original solution, build prototype, conduct research, collaborate, use technology, create products, create services that benefit the society. Now, I want to throw this reflective question to every one of us on the call right now. If a student in your school achieve excellent examination results, but lack creativity, lack adaptability, lack the capacity to collaborate with other team members, lack that problem-solving skill, would your school truly, sincerely be preparing students for the future? Please answer that question as we progress. Now, look at the second part. How can we move our students from being consumer to being creators? What are the steps? What are the modus operandi that we can use to move our students from just consuming information to making them to use this information to create amazing things? You know, I was just doing some research and I was surprised things I was seeing. We have students that are 11 years old that are coming up with great invention. 11 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old. Do you know why? It's because they transited from being mere consumer to active creators. So the purpose of education is not only to fill our mind with information. No, it is to ignite the mind, to challenge the mind, so that we can transform information into innovation, solution, and lasting value. Here is the question. What kind of learner does this innovation economy accommodate? Does this innovation economy require? Innovation economy reward people who can imagine, who can create, who can design, who can improve, who can innovate, who can collaborate, who can lead, who can solve problems, who can generate value. This is the educational shift before us. So I ask you a question. As a teacher, have you been able to look at your curriculum? Have you been able to look at your teaching style, your learning objective, so that we can produce learners that can imagine, that can create, that can design, that can improve on system, that can collaborate, that can become great leaders and inventors, that have original idea? The greatest challenge facing school today is no longer access to information. Can students transform those information into insight? And then from insight to idea, then from idea to innovation, and then innovation to impact. That's the journey from being human to being creators. Now, here I did some, contrast between a classroom of consumer and a classroom of creator. A classroom of consumer and a classroom of creator. A consumer classroom, students receive information. But creator classroom, students generate idea. As I go through this, you need to be asking yourself some question. Where do I belong? What kind of learners am I producing as a principal, as an administrator, as policy maker? What kind of policy are we making that will influence our educational sector so that we are not just consumer, rather we are creators? Now, a consumer classroom teacher asks most of the question, but a creator classroom, students ask meaningful question. Consumer classroom, learning end with examination. Creator classroom, learning produce authentic solution. In consumer classroom, success means remembering information. But for creator classroom, success means creating value. In consumer classroom, mistakes are penalized. But creator classroom, mistake become opportunity for learning. We call it validated learning. In consumer classroom, students work mainly alone, but in creator, there is collaboration. In consumer, technology deliver information, but in creator classroom, technology amplify creativity. Now, there's what we call a search on the stage. Our traditional classroom is what I call a search on the stage. So you have a teacher who is the search. He stands on the stage. He has all the information and he delivers those information to the students. That is industrial age. It doesn't work again. As I speak to you now, modern classroom, the teacher is like a coach, a guide in the sideline. That's the role you should play. So learning is not focused on the teacher. Learning is focused on the students. It's not just one way, not teacher directed, but learners driven. Question every classroom should answer. What competence will students develop if they are under your care as a teacher? By the way you teach, the content you deliver, the structure of your curriculum, can it give forth students that have critical thinking capacity? They can communicate their idea clearly. They can work with others in a team. They can create solutions. They have digital fluency. They can use technology in ethical manner. They have entrepreneurial capacity. They can provide leadership. Every teacher in this century must have the capacity, the skills to engineer their classroom in a way that they will be able to have students that have all this tendency. Creativity is not exclusive to any kind of profession. Scientists, engineers, doctors, teachers, every one of us need creativity. That's what I was saying when I started. In fact, if there are people that need creativity, it is teachers themselves. See, I wish I can have time to give you testimonial, my encounter with teachers, and then how I've been able to change their mindsets and help them to understand that they are in the most lucrative sector of the economy. It's not a cliche. I am a beneficiary because that is where I thrive. That is where I'm working. I work with school. I work with students. That's what I do. I mean, see, I design scripts for parents that want their children to become high flyer. When I mean high flyer, not making A in there or making first class. No, that's not what your teacher will do that. But I mean generating traction in the marketplace, coming up with creative ideas. That's what I do. I can build a script that can make a parent to have the next Elon Musk. That's what I do. I mean, I only take 4 every year. I can't take more than that. I engineer them. They become best in class. They apply creativity in whatever they do. In fact, one of the students that I'm working with right now, what I'm doing with her is just to open a journal and just be documenting her experience. And I know where I'm taking her to. So we must be creative. There's a lot of opportunity. We must put on our thinking cap as teachers. That is my challenge to every one of us. So educational research consistently shows that creativity flourishes when learners are given choices, when they are given autonomy. Teachers must give students autonomy. Authentic challenge. Give them a challenge. Give them constructive feedback. Give them time to reflect on their activity, to reflect on their performance, to reflect on their results. Permission to experiment. Provide that psychological safety for them that even if they make a mistake, that is not the end. Every mistake is opportunity to learn. Challenge their thinking. Let them try. Let them make effort. Let them make their mistake. That is how they get better. In fact, I have a research that was conducted by Google, and the outcome was amazing. Google conducted a research on their workers. They discovered that their best employee were not the people that went to Ivy League. No, not at all. In fact, the result of that research made them to retool, re-engineer the employment policy. I told you that every child is a system waiting to be engineered. As a teacher, as a principal, as an administrator, you can engineer the greatest potential out of that child. Plus courage, plus action equals to invention. And then by the time we commercialize that invention, it now gives us innovation, because the value is in innovation. Knowledge without curiosity produces normal routine. Knowledge without courage produces hesitation. There will be no capacity to take action because there is no courage. Knowledge without innovation only occurs when knowledge is transformed into meaningful action. Now, what should our students be creating? Our students should be creating business ideas. That's what they should be creating. Business ideas, mobile app, community awareness, scientific investigation, environmental innovation, digital storytelling, policy proposal. I mean, the list is all there. I mean, you have access to the slide through the organizers at the end of the day. That this is what our students should be focusing, and our education must be repositioned to achieve all this. Very, very important. Now, let's take a typical example right now. Two classrooms, classroom A, classroom B. In classroom A, students memorize definition. They complete their worksheets. They write exam, and they are given award, and that's the end. This is a typical traditional classroom in which many schools, they are still operating under this scenario, under this case study. Now, let's look at classroom B. In classroom B, students investigate waste disposal practice in their community. They collect data, they interview the residents, and then they use artificial intelligence, develop prototype for waste separation, present a recommendation to the local government, state government, federal government, and then make a business case out of it, and then launch a student-led environmental awareness. Please, can you look at the wide margin, the wide difference between these two classrooms? So I ask you a question. How is your classroom? Which category we are operating in a very constrained environment. Parents are going to select content that the curriculum of a particular school is able to, give their children inspiration to become creative, to become relevant in the innovation economy. And then there is no input. We are getting to that place very soon. It's not too long. So the difference between these two classrooms, both classrooms taught environmental science. Only one produced environmental innovation. Why? Because it was designed deliberately produced and not just mere. See, we have limited time here. We are constrained in this particular web class. Those of us who are interested, we can engage after now and discuss something practicable and implement them in your school and see changes, dramatic changes. Within a term, within a year, we see changes, tangible one, in the capacity of our students, in the creativity of our students. So there is a new definition for academic excellence. Please, let's take note of this now. Academic excellence is more than having A1 and this, no, far more than that. Now, a combination of all this is the new definition of academic excellence. For somebody to have academic excellence in this century, the student should be able to combine theoretical excellence. Unfortunately, that is where most of us stop. But you must combine theoretical excellence, creative excellence, digital excellence, entrepreneurial excellence, ethical excellence, collaborative excellence. Please, if you have gained something so far, and you can unmute yourself. Maybe the host give an opportunity, one or two. Just unmute yourself and tell us one or two things you have learned so far. Yes, just anybody. Let's interact a little bit. If you have learned something, just unmute. I'm waiting,
Hello.
please. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Hello, good evening.
Thank you. Good evening. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Yes, you inspire me so greatly that I can even perceive the call you are giving to innovation, even in your speech. It's so amazing. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
you are
you.
really disrupting the way it's being conducted. And that is actually what the future learners need. And in fact, the future is here because you are already making that that shift already. You are already doing it in your presentation, and it's quite amazing. Thank you so much.
If I get a female, I'll be very happy. If I get a female, so that we can balance our gender now. Anyone, quickly, please. Just unmute. Patricia, if you are saying something, you're still muted. Unmute yourself, Patricia. I know it's as if you are talking, but you are still muted. Unmute yourself. Digital fluency. I understand. Just check somewhere you see like okay, while we are waiting for you, let me just give us one or two examples. Let me give us one or two examples, inspire us, and to tell you that you are in the best industry. Listen, see, I have one of my trainees. This person studied Yoruba. This is not what I wanted to study, but she just went and studied it. Yoruba. See, as I speak to you now, myself, because I system that can help to children of our people that are in diaspora that do not understand Yoruba, and their parents want them to understand Yoruba by all means. Yoruba give Yoruba, you throw it away. And I can give a student year 5 at University of Session, a transition from the old way of thinking about education to the new way of thinking. There are so many opportunities. Let me tell you. There are things I do. As I speak to you now, I help that are serious to set up their counseling units. I help schools that are serious to set up their counseling unit, train their counselors for them. And I'm making so much. It's what we call, it's in the educational sector. But many of us, we don't want to think. Please, let's take this serious. There's a disruption going on. And I can teach you how to navigate this disruption and come up with your shoulder very high. Now, here is a reflection for every school leader. How many opportunities do students have in your school to be creative? Have you been able to inventiveness, their originality to come to bear of insecurity, the problem of poverty, the problem of waste disposal? Sometimes move along in the street, you see waste everywhere. We can do something. We can build prototype. We can analyze. We can gather data and build prototype and make a presentation. That's the reflection I want all of us to think. AI is there. We can use it. Please, it's time to stop talking and start taking action. This presentation is just to create your awareness. We can have more conversation after now to see how we can be specific. Just specific and build prototype and do something. You see, there was something beautiful happened during the COVID-19. Something happened that was very, very beautiful. And I wish we could continue. There was this interaction between governments and researchers, and then with the private sector. That is how we could curtail COVID. But it's supposed not to have ended with COVID. That, tripartite interaction supposed to continue. The academia, private entrepreneur, and then government, the public sector. There's supposed to be a collaboration between these three sectors to solve critical problems in our society. Who can come up with a solution, make a business case? I can teach you how to make a business case and present it to the local government, present it to the state government. It's a possibility. So the issue, our educational system must be re-engineered, and you are in the position to do that. That is the leadership challenge. As educational leader, our responsibility is no longer simply to ask, did they finish the curriculum? No. That's not the question now. Here is the question. What did students create because they finished the curriculum? That single question has the power to transform an entire educational system. Part 3. Now, I want to see how I can narrow it down a little bit as we talk about project-based learning and design thinking. How we can turn our classroom into innovation laboratories. So these are two powerful educational approaches that, is being implemented in many parts of the world. In fact, every January for 4 weeks in MIT, they suspend learning and they allow students to create anything that they think, anything that comes to their mind. That thing in your imagination, make it real. That's what they do. In fact, sometimes when I see the way people are running educational institutions today, I am bothered. I'm concerned. What are primary, secondary to the university? I see vice chancellor, the way they are running university, I'm concerned, I'm bothered. Go to our university. In fact, listen, it will shock you. It will shock you. To shock you. The university in our country that has the highest number of patents is just 20. 20. The highest number of patents. The highest, 20. University of Ilorin, that's the highest, 20. You can find out. Information is everywhere. Go and find out how many MIT has. Find out how many Stanford has. Find out how many Yale has. None of them has less than 5,000. And yet you want to compete with them. Do you know that the product of your school at the end of the day is going to compete with the product from Yale, from Princeton, from Harvard, from University of California, where they have more than 5,000 patents? See, I'm challenging you. Your secondary school can be the first secondary school in Nigeria to have a patent. I want to say it again. Your secondary school can be the first secondary school in Nigeria. I don't know of other African countries, maybe South Africa, Egypt, Morocco. I don't know if secondary school have. Your secondary school can be the first secondary school in Nigeria that will have a patent. University of Port Harcourt, they have only 5. Only 5. And then we have professors there. What are they doing? Project-based learning, design thinking. These are approaches that have been adopted by leading educational institutions around the world that is bringing transformation, helping them, go to Stanford and see things that are happening there. Well, it's not exam. We call it project-based learning. Students engage with their environment in a meaningful way, in a profitable way, in an impactful manner. Why project-based learning? Why does it work? Now, project-based learning promotes deeper conceptual understanding. When students have understanding of a particular concept, project-based learning helps them to engage their environment in a practical manner. You see, my son is in final year, University of Port Harcourt, studying environmental engineering. When he wanted to make his project, I have to engage him on project-based learning. I told him, don't do a project that after you do it, you dump it in the university library or in your department library. Please don't do that. I want you to do a project that industry will be making reference to. That industry, organization in oil and gas will be calling you to come and replicate it for them. You are able to develop a safety protocol, HSE, a safety protocol that many of them don't have, that can help to control the air quality, the noise quality, noise pollution, and all these other things. And I engaged him. In fact, by the time he made the presentation, it was stunning to everybody because we developed a business case. The health implication, the financial implication, and so many other things. We pulled everything out. That's what, so project-based learning, which I am proposing to schools to adopt, it gives your student deeper concept. Okay, listen now. Imagine an economic teacher. You are teaching your children on inflation. Why just give them mere information? Why not tell them somebody went to the market, whichever market, in January, and the person bought a particular goods at X naira. The person now go back to market and buy that same goods in this particular month, July, at X plus Y naira. That concept, that particular thing that has just happened is inflation. That just giving them mere information, but you are giving them a practical scenario, and then you allow those students to go to the market, interview sellers. Madam, you are selling pepper, you are selling this. What was the amount of this thing in January? She will tell you. Now, in July, what is the amount? That person will tell you. So what happened between July and now, that is, it is a price differential. That's the concept of inflation. By the time you explain this thing to them, that's what we call project-based learning. And Listen, you can apply this thing in every sector, in every subject, anywhere. Project-based learning. It promotes deeper conceptual understanding. It promotes critical thinking. It promotes communication, creativity, long-term retention, motivation, self-regulation, practical application of knowledge. That's the purpose. The characteristic of high-quality project-based learning, number one, a meaningfully driving question, and then authentic problem. When we say authentic problem that are existential in our society, in our community. For example, water quality, energy conservation, local entrepreneurship, climate adaptation, financial literacy. Financial literacy. These are practical things. So, please, learning should not stop in the classroom. And then the voice of students and their choices, making inquiry and conducting investigation, reflecting on it, and then making a public presentation. See, I'm throwing out a lot of ideas, and I'm sure we are writing them down and implementing them. And I've told you, engage me after now. I don't know how many secondary schools in our country that has a YouTube channel where they are chunking out ideas every day, every week. Is any school like that? They will attract global attention. I can say more on that. And then, closely related to project-based learning is design thinking. Now, design thinking provides innovation in the process of project-based thinking. You must combine two of them because it is design thinking that brings in the human components, that bring in empathy into it. It is design thinking. So, design thinking is a human-centered approach to solving complex problems. And it is very, very central to the implementation of project-based learning. Innovation begins with understanding people before you design a solution. So before you design a solution, you must understand people. And I say it anywhere and everywhere I go. Every human being wants to solve their problem. I will explain that further. There are 5 stages of design thinking. That is what literature says. But I say there are 6 stages. Number 1, empathy. Number 2, define. Number 3, ideate. Number 4, prototype. Number 5, test. And then number 6, you iterate. These are the stages. Guys, we can't go into detail now, but these are the stages we can follow in design thinking, and we can practically implement it so that in our school we'll begin to solve real problems for real people, and then create real impact, and then have a patent. I'm sure you know what it means. So I'm challenging all of us here. Let your secondary school be the first school in Nigeria that has a patent. See, that one alone will change the fortune of your school. Like I said, I'm aware of the challenges we're all facing, because I feel very, very bad that many secondary school, many schools in our country, they are in survival mode. I feel very bad about that. And I hope there will be a change as we move along. There will be a change as we move along. Now, let's look at design thinking in practical terms. Imagine students are exploring the challenge of improving school attendance. The traditional setting will just tell them, people are not coming to school. Write an essay why students are not coming to school. But design thinking will make it practical. Students will interview other students why they are not coming to school. Students will interview parents why their children are not coming to school. Students will interview teachers why students are not coming to school. And then they will go into record and analyze record attendance to identify root cause why they're not coming to school. They will now brainstorm on solution, design a prototype, pilot a solution, evaluate the result, revisit those ideas. This is the process that mirrors innovation in the real world. The role of teachers have changed. I've told you, you are no more a sage on the stage. You are a guide on the sideline. So in this new role or new model that we are proposing, teachers become less of lecturer and more of a learning architect. a facilitator, a coach, a mentor, a critical friend, a designer of a powerful learning experience. Please, that is who you are going forward from today. You are not just a teacher, you are an architect. You are designing, a learning framework that you will help these students to bring out the best in them and make them to be relevant in the world. It's a possibility. I'm not joking. You can be their mentor, a critical friend. Students can engage you in a conversation. They can even challenge your idea. In fact, see, if you just accept everything I tell you and you don't challenge me, I will not take you serious. I like people that challenge my idea. I love them. Now, here is a reflection. Imagine that every learner in your institution completed just one authentic project-based learning, just in a term. Just imagine what that means to your school. Imagine what that means to your school. See, I am telling you, you will not be able to grapple with the number of enrollment that will come to that school because the news will go everywhere. Yes. And that all those problems are addressing real community problems. Imagine every student that left your school has a portfolio of invention, a portfolio of research. That's amazing. I told you of 11-year-olds that are doing amazing things, 13-year-olds. Developing problem-solving and innovative skill. Why problem-solving matter? That was 2023. It was part of the resolution of the World Economic Forum telling us the needle mover in our society today. Problem solving was one of them. So every innovation begins with a problem. There will be no vaccine today if there was no disease. Disease is the problem. There will be no smartphone today if there was no challenge of communication. There will be no need for electric car today if there was no problem with environmental concern. There will be no need. Look at where I am now. But I'm speaking to so many people. I don't know where you are, but in different parts of the city or the country or outside the country. If there was no need for access to education was the problem. The solution was online learning. That is why problem solving matters. Innovation, therefore, so innovation is what every one of us need. Innovation is what our teachers need, our administrators need, our principal need. We must pioneer it. The shift from answer seeker to problem finder. History's greatest inventors were first exceptional observer. You must be an observer. Teach students to notice what others ignore. That can interrogate circumstance, ask question, deep question. Now, every innovative mindset is full of curiosity. Curiosity, that is the willingness to explore the unknown. Courage, creativity, collaboration. You can't do it alone. I was talking about the environmental problem. After all those, you may need to write a report. Your English teacher comes in there, helping them to write a report. The engineer comes in there, helping them to look at materials that they can use in their design, designing the concept, the prototype and all of that thing. So it's a team. You must learn to work in a team. Resilient, persisting despite, failure and setback. And then reflection. Now, there are 8 practical strategies for developing problem-solving mindset. Number 1, teach students to ask better questions. Number 2, normalize productive failure. Very, very important. You can see what is happening in SpaceX with Elon Musk and spacecraft and all those things. Normalize productive failure. It is called validated learning. Number 3, integrate real-world challenge into every subject, whether literature, whether history, whether chemistry, whether physics, whether biology, whether English. Integrate real-world challenges. Number 4, encourage interdisciplinary thinking. That is, various subjects cross-fertilizing idea to solve a particular problem. Number 5, build reflection into life and learning. Develop communication skill. When students have idea, they must communicate that idea. That's one of the competitive advantage of Apple. You will see Apple, they communicate their idea to their followers. So there's what we call a cult of Apple, that people are so addicted to them because of the powerful communication that they have. Whatever idea they have, foster ethical innovation, encourage continual learning. Now, this is a proprietary work of my organization that we'll be able to put together using the word innovation for as a learning cycle. Idea means identify a meaningful problem. See, this particular learning cycle is a page turner. If I take you through this, you will never be the same again. I tell you, I'm telling you, you will never be the same again. Innovative cycle. Now, number one, identify a meaningful problem. How do you do that? Observe, question, investigate. Number two, notice pattern and need. How do you do that? Gather evidence, understand people, analyze data. And then the next end there, navigate possibility. How do you navigate possibility? Generate multiple ideas, encourage divergent thinking. And then organize and prototype. How do you organize and prototype? Develop practical solution, create module, and build prototype. And then V, validate through testing. How do you validate through testing? Seek for feedback, measure effectiveness, improve. And then A, adapt and refine. T, transform into value. E, evaluate and extend. This model is powerful. And I can give us, a classroom illustration, but my time is gone. The role of teacher in innovation is very, very simple. Teach students, build an environment that will help your student to become people that ask meaningful questions. So the teacher becomes the architect of possibility. I have some reflection here. Now, section 5, learner, driver, innovation. My time is gone. I just want to see how I can summarize. But let us understand that when young minds are empowered, they can change the world. They can change the world. So young people have repeatedly demonstrated that when given the right environment, right mentor, and then opportunity, they can do amazing things. All my students right now are doing amazing things. See, let me people now. So the answer is no. Elon Musk, sorry, not coach. Them, but they are there in the slide. You can take your time to go through it, and then you see the lesson. These are lessons from all those case study that I put there as example. Number one, the learner work on authentic problem. Their project address genuine need. And then number two, teachers serve as facilitator rather than the sole source of knowledge. Learning become collaborative. Students enjoy meaningful ownership. They take ownership because they created it. They make decisions. They test their idea. They input. They accept responsibility. And they learn across discipline to call monetary team. And then produce tangible value. What's the lesson for educational leaders? No, this example teaches us several important lessons. Number one lesson, young people can consistently exceed the expectation when adults raise their expectation. Those students under you, what's your expectation about them? Our assumption about learners often determine the opportunity we perfect facility. No, you may not have all the facility. You can do something even within the limitation that you find yourself. Please, every one of us that are on this call, we must re-engineer our school culture and identity sink in. We must re-engineer our school culture and identity. If you do that, product from your school, will have a particular positioning in the marketplace, positioning anywhere they find themselves. And that is what we call branding. When we mentioned earlier are not common experience in school, then the challenge is not the ability of learners. The challenge is the design of our education experience. This is a vision that is worth pursuing by every school owner, teacher, principal, policy people that are making policy in the educational sector. This particular vision is worth pursuing. What is the vision? Imagine a school where every learner graduates with academic excellence, creative confidence, digital fluency, entrepreneurial experience, research competence, ethical leadership, a portfolio of innovation, having patents, a record of community impact. Just imagine. Just have it in your mind. Dream about it. If you can imagine it, you can become it. This should be our thinking, our sleeping. This should be our thinking going forward. Our identity, the culture that we practice, that in this school, this is how we behave. Young people do not become innovator by accident. They become innovator because school intentionally cultivate curiosity, provide meaningful opportunity, encourage experimentation, connect learning to authentic problem, and celebrate value creation. So the responsibility, therefore, lies on every one of us. So I'm calling on you to be an architect of the future. The opportunity in the continent of Africa is unimaginable. That is why I have personally, with a team in my organization, we have developed a vision for the continent of Africa, which I put it there, and we have developed a vision for our nation in Nigeria. And God helping us, we're starting to implement this thing going forward from now. Here is my legacy question to every one of us that are on this call. 20 years from now, when your students look back on their education, what will they remember? I want to paint a picture for you. The greatest classroom are not those where students only learn about the world. They are the classroom where students discover that they possess the power, the capacity to change the world. As I bring this to a close, I want you to think about it, that one day, maybe you find yourself in maybe you are sitting down in the airport, or you are sitting down in your sitting room, and then you open your television to maybe Fox TV or Al Jazeera or CNN or whichever, and then somebody was making a presentation at the United Nations about its invention, and as the person was making that presentation, the person mentioned your school. I was in this school, and because of the culture of that school, it challenged my thinking, and because of that, I came out with this invention. Please tell me, how will you feel? Thank you very much. I want to stop here. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.